So I almost forgot to celebrate another important anniversary. So July 5th of 2020 was the first time I ever said Single Lives Matter. And there's a reason I coined the phrase that day. You see, during the whole pandemic, I had been singled out for being single. A lot of times, people just think that I have the most flexibility in the world because I'm single. You know, if somebody needs something done at an odd hour, I do tutoring. You got kids who have all sorts of wacky schedules. I had one kid who could only do tutoring in the middle of the night. I had a bunch who needed a certain schedule. And to some extent, I can understand why a family person might not want to do that. But you know what? There are other things as a single guy I would like, and it doesn't seem to go the other direction. You know, if it's take the student at 11 o'clock at night because you're the one who can be suited for it, how about when I want to take a trip that, you know, a couple might not be interested in, right? If it went that way, then I might be okay with it. Okay, fast forward to Saturday, July 4th, 2020. Saturday in the park. Unfortunately, there was a pandemic, and I was out viewing the lunar eclipse at the park. So it was a coincidence that Saturday in the park, right, on the 4th of July. And unfortunately, I had to work the following day. And I scrambled to look for somewhere to plug in my computer to have Wi-Fi. Gotta remember, July 4th, 2020, you couldn't sit down in a Starbucks, right? And I had an AC adapter in my car. I plugged in my computer. I was driving around looking for Wi-Fi. And then I blew the fuse on in the car because I had too many things plugged in. And I was frantically looking at YouTube videos on how to replace the fuse. I was looking for a store that was even open on it was July 5th at least. Fortunately, it wasn't July 4th. Looking for a store to get parts for my car to fix it up. And meanwhile, my coworkers, as soon as their kid has any kind of trouble, they call out because, oh my God, their kids have no school to go to. And for a moment, I just became incensed at the treatment. See, I was doing a lot of remote tutoring at the time, and I got all sorts of wacky schedules, not only at odd hours, but I would get very spotty schedules. I'd get an hour from 3 to 4 to tutor this kid, and then the next day I would get like a half an hour. And you got to understand, when you have... See, this is what I wish my boss would understand. I don't think he still fully appreciates this. When you have a student at 3 to 4 p.m., it puts a big anchor on your schedule. It's not just that 1 hour that you're tutoring, right? That's why when I interviewed at this current job that I'm at, when we were negotiating an hourly rate, I almost didn't want to give a number. It's more like a daily rate, right? Any day that you need to hire me, I need to make this amount to make it worthwhile, right? But of course, good luck getting anybody to understand the logic of that. But I mean, if the students needed it, I could have understood it. Unfortunately, I didn't see any of my coworkers having to do that, and it really upset me. You know, if everybody was putting up with problems, right? Certainly everybody was affected by COVID, so COVID restrictions didn't bother me so much. But having these odd hours, nobody else was dealing with that, and it really upset me. So after I got my work done on the 5th of July, plugging stuff into my car, almost having my car explode on me, driving around. Fortunately, gas was really cheap back then, right? If I had to do that today, well, I'd call out, for one thing. And second, I would not be happy. But gas was, what, negative $5 a gallon at the time. And so that didn't bother me too much. And but the fact that my boss would treat me differently than everybody else did bother me. So after I got my work done, I got out of my car and I jumped on the hood and I said, "Single Lives Matter," really loudly. And I said it before I even realized I coined a new phrase. At the time, everybody was chanting Black Lives Matter, and just how I felt about the whole thing. But it's been 2 years. I want to point out some highlights over the last 2 years. One of the first things I did was, I moved out to the Rocky Mountains where I really got accepted for who I was. And I started going out by myself. And at the time, I didn't get too many blank stares because obviously, everybody was being separated from their social circle by COVID, obviously. And then I went out by myself. I went to a steakhouse in Missoula for Valentine's Day by myself. And then I came home, and at the time I had a girlfriend actually, and I got to see her as well. So I got to compare side by side how I was treated in both ways, and that was one of the more equal Valentine's Days I ever had actually. Didn't have a girlfriend this year on Valentine's Day, but I experimented a little bit just after that, and I want to say the treatment this year was not so equal anymore. One of the most trying times, but also the most moving, was this year. My family and I got into a falling out because my mom thought I was wasting away ever since the pandemic, and after I broke up with my girlfriend, I had another girlfriend before the pandemic that I broke up with, and I never really got into another serious relationship after that. My mom was very unhappy about that. She doesn't accept solo sexuality. My dad doesn't either. My dad's a conservative, very much against LGBTQ. He was cheering the other day when Japan officially banned gay marriage all over again, right? There were some question marks about that, and now they've banned it. But my dad is very conservative, and in order to get them to accept solo sexuality, I decided to go on a very long hunger strike. And the inspiration behind the hunger strike was one day my mom and I had been talking. She commented how I had lost a lot of weight, and she was very upset about that too. And she thought I was malnourished, and I thought, good. You know, if you're gonna be upset about my solo sexuality, maybe I'm gonna kill myself in front of you, and maybe you need to start accepting me for who I am. And so I started fasting. Now, what's really interesting was back in the summer of 2020, I had changed my car insurance company because I got a discount, and while I changed it, I discovered I could add a term life insurance policy and pay almost nothing more because of the discount you get for combining your car and your life insurance. And so I had a life insurance policy, and it turned 2 years old during the fast. I'm like, wow, I could fast myself to death, and this insurance is going to pay out. And I changed the beneficiary on the policy. I didn't want to give it to my family because I didn't want to reward them for it being against my solo sexuality. And so I changed the beneficiary to the Desert Botanical Garden in Phoenix, Arizona, because I had such a good time when I was there. And that place was really inviting to me as a solo sexual. And I told my family all about this. And I ended up losing about 10 pounds on top of all the weight I had already lost during the pandemic from all the fasting. And my parents accepted me for who I was. And also at my workplace, I got, May 15th off to view a lunar eclipse. I didn't have to rush back and look for outlets and look for Wi-Fi. And that was good. And it got me going on my intermittent fasting again. So it's been 2 years. Say it with me, single lives matter. And I'm gonna burn a clump of hair if I can get it to stay. Because last time I burned some of my hair, I had good luck. So I got some hair from my hairbrush, and I'm gonna set it on fire because it always brings me a lot of luck for some reason.